Hello, hi YouTube family. How are you guys doing? It has been a long while. For sure more than 3 weeks, maybe even a month or more. So how are you guys doing? I am Fauzia. Welcome to Fau's Journey Across the Bridge. This is a space where we are healing ourselves. We are going from mind to heart, returning back to self, centering in who we truly are, operating from our authentic self and standing in that truth. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is part of the series that I have started in terms of healing your inner child, and the book that we are working with is this book, okay, Recovery of Your Inner Child. So as I mentioned to you guys, my intention is to take my time going through this book because I know some areas of healing can be a bit intense, and I know myself, I know if I pick up something and I'm having that resistance, then I might put it down. And my goal for not putting it down is to then read it slowly. So we're moving pretty slow in terms of reading the pages, but that's fine. We might get to a certain part of the book where we'll go a bit faster. But for now, I am completely comfortable with just taking it a step at a time and being present with that. So the pages that I'm referring to in terms of the notes that I've taken, also in terms of the questions and statements, is going to be from page 19 to 24. So Recovery of Your Inner Child, okay? And I am going to be referring to information taken from page 19 to 24. So if you have decided to purchase the book, wonderful. If some of the questions are helping you at least kind of awaken certain information within yourself that allows you to go get some other books as well, and just to kind of grow in that space of exploring areas of your life that need healing, that's wonderful as well. So here we go. Now I'm going to start off, as you know, I'm going to be reading from my notes, and also a bit from the book is what I want to do today. Again, if you are new to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And if you're liking the material in terms of the videos that I'm sharing and the tools that are offered in that video, please hit the like button. Make sure you click the notification bell so when I do post that you are notified. As you see, there has been a gap in terms of the next part of this series that I am currently doing, so that you want to make sure, so when I do share, that you get notified and that you're not missing out on these healing tools that we're using in terms of the questions and stuff. And what else do I want to say? And share the video. Share the video if you know someone who might benefit from it. And sometimes we share something just because we like it, and we never know, someone in our social group might benefit from it. So as we heal ourselves, we heal all generations before us and after us. We heal this in our family lineage. And at the same time, if you are sharing and someone else is benefiting as well and using the tools to heal themselves, we are healing our community, and from that we can heal the world at large. So I forgot for us to take the deep breath that okay, so let's start with that. 3 deep breaths. Because it's really grounding, right? And centering us to this present moment. Thank you for joining me on this journey, but also on this practice of conscious breathing. It really, really grounds me and it centers me so that I'm not flustered, that I'm just here right now in this moment. So, like I said, I'm going to start with the question. And this question, I got it from the book, okay? Who is this child living within? So who is this child living within us? So that's one question that it's asked in this section of the book, 19 to 24. And it's kind of asked in the sense of, it's not yet part of the workbook, but just starting the paragraph, it asks, who is this child living within? Okay, so I'm going to read a statement now from page 20. The very nature of childhood leaves the infant or youngster to harm. Okay, so I'm sharing this and I'll come back and, share a bit more. Okay. The roots of addiction in childhood, page 22. Another question, are you addicted to anything? When did the addiction start? Are you addicted to anything? When did the addiction start? What triggered the addiction? And so, of course, I will be answering this as well, and I will be sharing the video with you guys in terms of my answer of, those questions as well. Now we're going into the next question. So question number 3 now. Are you getting any help or support as an adult for any type of dysfunctional family exposure? So here's the question. Are you getting any help or support as an adult child from any type of dysfunctional family exposure? So, sometimes we may have not been physically abused or sexually abused, but just growing up in a dysfunctional family can also create trauma. And so we want to make sure that we don't classify it as normal, but that we are addressing it and saying, what is this? Is it actually a positive thing in my life, or is it hindering me in some form? Okay. And the next question here is, in what ways did you receive inadequate parenting? So this is not to judge or criticize our parents. This is not to say, they knew what they were doing and so they were bad people. This is to say, in what ways maybe they have lacked awareness or information to have supported us in a better way, right? So in what ways did we not receive the adequate parenting that we needed as children? So that's also a question, okay? Now, next question. Let's see. And this also is this is also from the book. Okay, I just want to grab something. What did I want to grab? Thank you for bearing with me. And I have not yet decided to edit any of my videos. First, I'm not sure if I have the skills for it yet, but at the same time, I probably will eventually look into getting some type of support or assistance with editing so that you guys don't have to, be exposed or even like me just reaching out for something here right now. I try to allow my video to be natural in that sense, but I know that maybe for some people this is like, yeah, anyways, for now, I'm not really editing it. Okay, just had to clean my nose. Next question. Why is your inner child trapped inside? Okay, why did your inner child go underground? That's a statement that I took a piece of from the book. So what caused your inner child to go underground, to be trapped inside of you? So the way I want to explain this is, as a kid, if you experience trauma, abuse, attack of any form, that part of you, there's a part of you that gets scared and say, oh, this world is not safe. I can't be out here like this. So it's almost like an aspect of you decides to just hide away, okay? Or you might decide and say, this is not a safe space, so I'm going to hide that part of me, so that whatever part of you feel like was attacked or abuse, you take that part of you and you're like, no, I'm hiding you away. So we keep it trapped somewhere. And or sometimes even just the trauma itself can cause an aspect of us to be trapped, okay, to be trapped within us. So asking that question really helps us to kind of identify where are we, which part of us, you know, we need to ourselves go and rescue. We need to let out of the closet. We need to go underground and reclaim. Okay. Now, the child experiencing abuse, trauma, how is it affecting your life? Okay. As a child, did you experience abuse, trauma, and how is it affecting your life? So I know that in this series, the journey that we're doing here together on Fo's Journey Across the Bridge, it's about healing ourselves. So we can be healing from a lot of different things. It doesn't have to necessarily be abuse, and it doesn't have to be, it may be trauma, but it's not necessarily abuse, right? And if it is, it's also fine. So which one is it? Or both? Did your inner child, or as a child, did you experience abuse or trauma? And how is that affecting your life right now? So far I'm sharing just the questions, right? I haven't yet went into anything further. And so we will come to that. Okay. Next question. Were the basic needs, and this is from page 23, were the basic needs of your inner child met? Okay. And the needs, for example, basic needs, okay? The need for love, the need for safety, you know, trust, respect, and guidance. Were you respected as a kid? Was your trust broken? Did you receive the kind of guidance that you need? Were you given information in terms of like your body, your personal space, your boundaries? Did you receive guidance as a kid? So this is, again, not going and addressing whether someone was right or wrong for doing something. This is about us saying we've experienced abuse, we have experienced trauma, and we want to do the work of healing. We want to identify what works needs to be done, and we want to look for the tools to help support us. So that's our focus, okay? Yes, so I'm going to read a bit from the book, because this part I want to read about the basic needs, okay? All right. Okay, here we go. So from page 23, it says, how do we do this? How do we heal our inner child? First of all, by recognizing and experiencing it. That will be our task in chapter 2. When we meet our inner child, we often discover that our inner child needs were not met. Needs for love, safety, trust, respect, and guidance. The absence of these basic conditions may have brought about a state of chronic anxiety, which I have talked about in my previous videos. If you get a chance, go watch that. My experience with anxiety, and at first I didn't have a name for it. I didn't know what I was feeling, and I think also having a family member who was, you know, was expressing certain type of actions, and we as the people exposed to it, we didn't really know what it was, and they didn't have a name for it either. And so later on we found out, or we understood, that it was anxiety and panic attack. Okay, so the absence of the most basic conditions may have brought about a state of chronic anxiety, fear, shame. I'm not sure if I have done a video about my experience with shame, but I will do that as well. Anger, yes, I remember I would participate in these meetups that are here in my hometown, and I remember in this meetups it was about like connecting and having experiences with like-minded people, and it's almost like a playground for adults where you go and you ask yourself specific questions, and it's all questions in terms of just having fun, sharing, and also healing at the same time. And I remember sharing with someone that I was like feeling so much rage, and I didn't know that until I said that. And the moment I said that, I said, wow, So my anger wasn't just like surface, it was like a build up, and it reached to rage, right? And so once I said it out loud, and I remember the person had said it too was kind of taken back because they didn't really know me. What that did then for me was like, okay, I need to look into this rage because what's happening? So I was like, whew, I had so much anger that I had to work through. Okay, so and then despair in our inner child. So I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna read again this paragraph. The absence of these basic conditions may have brought about a state of chronic anxiety, fear, shame, anger, and despair in our inner child. So I did a video on my experience with despair, and I have shared it on Spotify. It's also on the Fool's Journey Across the Bridge. If you get a chance, go ahead and check that out as well. Reoccurring emotional and physical problems in adulthood are a sign that the inner child is trying to speak. So, you know how if you haven't learned about chakras or your chakras, or just even just being exposed to it, your throat chakra is your chakra. If you're experiencing any blockage or any issues with expressing yourself, you'll have some kind of issue with your throat chakra. First of all, I do apologize for the background noise. I have neighbors, and so they're kind of in and out. My awareness around my throat chakra really helped me because I realized that I was not expressing my truth. I was not expressing my truth with regards to my joys, but not so much my joys, more my pains. And I was not really expressing myself because I had like silenced myself. I couldn't scream, which had occurred for me as part of the trauma. Was I kind of like lost that voice to speak, and so it can really affect your throat chakra. So here it says, reoccurring emotional and physical problems in adulthood are a sign that the inner child is trying to speak. So practice being aware of your sensations in your body. Practice being aware of like soreness, of discomfort, of like nudging and all that stuff. And when you're doing meditation, it allows you to just pay attention to that. And also when you're meditating and you're just doing like focusing on your breath, what I tend to do is I tend to send my energy, my breath to all of my body, and just for me to kind of scan where energy is being stuck. And I had a couple of years attended a few breath work, I don't want to call it classes, but I guess you can say healing sessions. And it was about conscious breathing, and it was about acknowledging if there was energy stuck in your body. And I remember it was like this deep conscious breathing and doing it in different styles just to kind of really expand your chest and let that energy flow. I had realized that my throat here, like I felt the energy come up to my throat, and instead of going through my throat from inside and through all the way up to my head, I felt it come out of my throat, like from this here, from my chest, and go in to my nose. So there was this huge blockage here. And so just recognizing that and saying, okay, I need to do the work of like understanding what's going on. So it was all around my throat chakra. It was all around me not being able to voice myself. So paying attention to the different areas of your body that energy might be stuck will also help you identify what are the issues that you're experiencing, right? Because we all know if we don't address our emotions and if we don't address issues that are going on with our body, it will just get worse. And so as I mentioned with meditation, what that does for you is it centers you, and it also places you in the space where you are paying attention to the energy flow in your body through your breath work. But also it's allowing you to kind of like silence external or be at first to be able, there's so much benefit to it, but the part that I'm going to share right now is it will tell you the benefit of like understanding, like when you're hearing all those voices in your head, is it your voices? And so you kind of like become this silent observer And then you can see how like, oh, my thoughts are just running off, like either they're out of control, I don't have control of them, or are these my thoughts? So it's very powerful because then you tend to reclaim your power back. Okay, so use that to help you identify where energy is stuck in your body. I'm going to read this again, okay? So this is about what was the question here? The question is, were your basic needs, okay, were the basic needs of your inner child met? And we had talked about what that is. So how do you heal our inner child? First of all, by recognizing and experiencing it, which means by recognizing our inner child and experiencing our inner child. That will be our task in chapter 2. When we meet our inner child, we often discover that our inner child needs were not met. Our inner child needs for love were not met. Their need for safety was not met. Their trust was broken. Their need to be respected, like their boundaries, their body, their mind, their choices, okay? And also their need to have a certain type of guidance, okay? Just to be informed of danger that is around them, to be informed about options and choices, informed about greater awarenesses, just guidance in general, okay? The absence of these basic conditions may have brought about a state of chronic anxiety, fear, shame, anger, and despair in our inner child. So when our needs as a child are not met, it causes a ripple effect of other emotions and other negative experiences. Reoccurring emotional and physical problems in our adulthood are a sign that the inner child is trying to speak. So let your inner child speak by starting to do your healing work. Okay? So the next question I want to go into is, as unhealed adults, how can we build our world? Okay. Have you ever acknowledged the damage child within? Okay, so I actually want to read this one before I go to the next question. So as individuals, how can we build our adult world in the shaky foundations of a frightened and isolated child who never got its basic needs met? Sooner or later, a crisis hits: an illness, divorce, career upheaval, or financial disaster. The structure crumbles. The mass of the adult persona begins to crack. At this point, some individuals look inward to examine and reevaluate their lives. They seek assistance from therapy and self-help book, or join support groups where it is safe to acknowledge the damaged child within. So that's what we are doing. We are acknowledging, okay? And whatever hopefully you're not at the point where a crisis has hit, where now you are forced to face what's going on within you. I feel like for me, it was kind of like the beginning of the crisis, and then it went on to fall into the crisis where it was the beginning of the crisis, or me understanding like, hey, the experiences that I'm having currently in my life, I'm not enjoying them. I'm not liking how things were going. So I looked I thought it was just a social thing. Like I wasn't socializing enough. I need to find things that are aligned with where I was, and just, like-mindedness. So I looked for meetups, right? And from that, I started like meeting people that were healers, people that were informed in certain areas in terms of like healing the body, healing the mind, healing the soul. And that brought me into, I think in a sense, it prepared me for what to come next, because had I not been aware of like tools and just, support out there in terms of like, hey, you could be experiencing this, or, just, it's almost like being in an environment that was like-minded. So you had this open conversation, and at the same time hearing people talk about what they were going through. So it kind of like started awakening things in me, and at the same time exposed me to like, hey, is something going on within me as well? So I questioned that within myself. And so when the crisis did happen for me, which was divorce, even though it was like like a blow, even though in a sense I anticipated it or I knew I was stepping into. It was a huge blow because what it did was it just broke me open. I like how here it says the persona begins to crack, but even before that it says, and the structure crumbles. So the structure that I was creating it didn't have a real foundation, okay? And at the same time, it was like, it was from a persona. It wasn't from my authentic self because that inner child was silent. It was dormant for so long. So it's like I was building on not from my true self. I was building kind of like from a false sense of self, right? So here when it talks about how can we build our adult world on the shaky foundations of a frightened and isolated child who never got its basic needs met. So when you just read that and you think about how, whether in your life or someone else's life that you know, if you pay attention to how things are kind of like not in the best foundation, you can understand that maybe the root of things weren't addressed, right? It was just surface level. And I had always loved just talking about a proper foundation, right? Just a proper foundation of anything. And I'm totally into like home decor and building homes and having homes that are just, that make sense. And I've always been so intrigued by the foundation of how a home was made. And I was exposed to that early on as a kid because my dad is really into, you know, building homes and stuff like that. And I remember him coming to the workers that were building the home, and they were building the foundation, and they were doing something. And I remember he came, he's like, no, that's not how you need to do it. You need to take it apart and do it better. And I remember like it was so interesting how you think you just start from the ground level and you start building this amazing house that you want. Because before seeing that, if I were to describe how a house was built just from assumption, I would have assumed that way. But because I had seen the foundation being built, I was exposed to it, so I knew the foundation had to be solid. And that always had been like my thing when it came to doing things the right way, that I wanted it to have a good foundation. But somehow, because I was living in this from a space of illusion and creating a false self, because I had rejected my true self due to trauma, then I was just building on that false self. I wasn't building from true acceptance of self. So in a sense, the people that were meeting me and interacting with me and creating a life with me, they didn't really get to see all of me, even though they saw an aspect of me. Maybe I didn't feel safe enough to let all of me come out. So it is through doing the work of healing myself and regaining my strength and my power that I can let all of me come out. And I think there are still parts of me that are like not fully sitting within this adult body yet, because there's still some work that I'm working on. As you see, we're doing that work together, right? So if I'm talking a bit too fast, if I am, I do apologize, because I did notice that right now. Okay, what is the next thing I want to say? So the question was, yeah, so that was a statement, right? In terms of like trying to build a life from a shaky foundation of a frightened and isolated child who never got his basic needs met. Now, next one, I'm not sure yet if this is a question. I will read it and then I'll tell you guys if it's a question that we're going to answer. Have you acknowledged the damaged child within? So yes, have you acknowledged the damaged child within? When I read that question, I think it reminded me of, like earlier when I said to you, I want to do a video on shame. It reminded me of the shame that I had carried around, the fact that I felt damaged, or that I did experience trauma that then caused me to have certain damage, right? So it's almost like if something happens, right, and you get injured, if that thing is not healed or it doesn't work anymore, then it's something that's then damaged because it's not operating from its natural and authentic space. Something happened to it. So sometimes even when you fix something, you can still see that it was once damaged. And I think the fact that I knew that what happened to me in a sense, I believe that it damaged me. Like, and so that was just also one belief in terms of that. But in terms of really acknowledging, like, what are the aftermath damages? So I talked about in my previous video how trauma has caused me to have these memory issues, right? And I didn't know that for a very long time. But in terms of like doing the healing work, it's bringing it more to my awareness. So then I would look into like neuroscience, and I would look into memory and what causes memory issues, and I would look into which part of the memory is damaged. So apart from just feeling ashamed that my body was attacked, so then I felt like my body was then damaged, there was also this aspect where it's like, hey, there was damage that actually had happened to my brain, that happened to my physical body, that may have caused me to not respond a certain kind of way. So of course there can be some damages that you can heal from, but then there are some that you may not be able to get back to be its full potential, right? So just understanding that and having peace around that, and not being so ashamed, like, yeah, I might have a scar, yeah, I might not have my memory to be able to function the way it naturally is supposed to function, but it was due to something, and I'm okay with that now, right? And if there is ways I can work and improve it, I am conscious of that, and I'm at least aware so I can pursue it or not pursue it. And so what I did realize in terms of maybe I wouldn't answer the question here, because I go, have you acknowledged the damaged child within? So that's not really answering. Okay, so the part I want to share is the part of my memory that I have noticed that is that has experienced damage was where your brain then retrieves information. So I have to consciously, if I want to remember something, create some kind of path where this is where I am storing the information. So my ability to store it, I had to kind of also heal, because my mind would have these pain and these pressures when I tried to, like, especially if I was trying to remember something for school or trying not to forget something that I thought was important. And that doesn't always happen, the important part, but it was like when I intentionally try to remember something. And so I would feel this pain, but after a period of time, like maybe writing it down or creating a note for myself, the pressure of that pain was kind of going away. So that's, again, getting the brain to muscles to kind of like respond differently, right? So the storing was fine. And the ability to go and retrieve, it's like, well, where did I save this information? And it wasn't working. My retrieval process was not, it was the part that was the most damaged. And I think it could be that I had blocked it so much where it was like too painful. So it's like, I don't need to ever get that memory. So maybe that muscle was not used often. So then it just became dormant. But just being conscious of that, then I'm gentle with myself, because at times I was feeling, a bit stupid, like I'm not smart, or like you're dumb or something like that. And it was actually a real issue that I was having, and I didn't know. Because remember, the trauma was so dormant that the things that I was experiencing as a result of the trauma, I just called it issues that were unique to me. Like, I was not able to retrieve information. So I defined it as I was not able to remember. So I am dumb for not remembering, right? And so I was scared in certain environments where I would escape into my body. And so I made that unique to me as like, you're just a frightened little girl. Well, the truth is I was the frightened little girl within. My inner child was that. But it was due to something, right? It was due to being exposed to trauma, to harm, to danger, to abuse. And so there were reasons for it, but I just took it on me as like something was just wrong with me, and I had to hide it. So I spent a lot of time just hiding myself, hiding me, hiding the ways I was having issues, because I thought, something is like, I just felt very, very dumb, to be really honest with you guys. I felt like I had to fake being smart. And the thing is, I started school at a very young age and I was doing so well, and it was because I was smart, and because of the trauma it created for me to have all this rejection towards learning, right? But at the same time, even if someone does not have the ability to learn in a certain way for whatever reason, whether they were originally considered as a bright person, as a smart person, as an intelligent person or not, they do have the right to just be in that. Like, everyone doesn't have to show up in the world and be so magnificent at something. And so accepting the fact that, yeah, you have experienced trauma, you have certain parts of you that are damaged, and just being okay with accepting all of yourself and not hiding it and dimming it. And trust me, people who are standing in the truth of who they are, people who are in alignment with their true self, are not going to be criticizing you. And if someone is criticizing you, that's a projection as well, right? So you have to make sure you do the healing work where you're not internalizing and making it personal what others are doing. That's your task to say, well, I know that I'm not good in this area, but why should I feel bad for it? I'm just not. And just being okay with that, right? So that all comes with growing and doing your healing work to get to this space of full acceptance and be okay. Like, love you, the adult you, the inner child inside of you. You deserve to be here in whatever form you are here. You deserve to show up in this world, no matter what is the challenges that society may say you're having. So then, you know, it might classify you in a certain group of people. But at the end of the day, whether externally you have been given a category or not, you don't have to step into it. You don't have to fit into it. You can stand in the most highest truth of who you are. You can honor you from that space of who you really are. Like, your view of you is all that matters. Okay? And the reason I'm bringing that up is because sometimes we, as part of this society, can become attached to what others say about us, and we can also judge others. So we are playing that role as well, right? Where others are judging us and we're judging other people. So first, stop judging other people for not being like you. Why you want anyone to be like you anyhow? And accept how you are and who you are, and love your uniqueness and all that you are. Okay? So next one, yes, so this question is together. Have you acknowledged the damaged child within? Do you know what damaged the inner child, and what damages does the inner child have? Okay? Has it and experience it? Okay, do you know what damages the inner child has and is experiencing currently? Okay, read the last paragraph. So we're going to read now another paragraph from page 24. Okay? It is important to remember one thing. It is important to remember one thing, however. Only you can reparent your inner child. So let me pause there. So when you have connected with your inner child, you get to reparent your inner child. No one else can do it for you. Not your parents, not any other adults. Only you can parent your inner child, because your inner child needs to know that they are safe with you. Okay? And so I'm not sure if I have done a video where about that, or maybe it's something that I'm going to wear. From the past and the current moment, not responding or noticing. Okay, do I have it here as well? Sorted externally. Do we have looking for love? And okay, so no, that's not that one. So I had this, I was sitting in meditation the other day, and I felt a bit of sadness. I felt an emotion. So I was like, oh, what is this? So I was sitting there to meditate, and then I just felt a sense of sadness. So I thought, okay. And so from that space, I heard a little girl says, I heard my inner child says, "Oh, not again." And so from that moment, I said to her, "What do you mean, not again?" And it was like she was waking up from a nap and realizing that, whatever situation she was in terms of being in the dreamland, and it's almost like sometimes when you dream, you imagine being somewhere else other than the way you are. So you kind of like are escaping this reality. So and your dreams could be so real that you assume that you are no longer in that negative environment. And so her saying, "Oh, not again." So I was like, "What do you mean?" So it was like her waking up to things being the same way again and again and again and again and not changing. So at that moment, I was like, I'm here. I'm here. And, you can rest now. So from there, she went back to sleep, and you could feel like sitting in that meditation, I felt so light after saying that, because it's going to take time for her to wake up and trust that I'm still there. Like I am the adult present for her and her healing process, right? Because it's going to take time to trust that I'm not going to go anywhere. And at the same time, it takes time for the body and the mind to reprogram itself, right? To get used to something new. So I said to her, "I'm going to be here as long as it takes. I'm going to be here permanently. I'm here for you, right? I'm here, and you can go back to sleep." So I was carrying the weight that she was carrying all those years, the worry of having to face the world by herself, having to face challenges, having to wake up to the same negative environment. And just knowing that I was there, it was then like, okay, she can rest. There was someone else there watching over her. And so what I took away from that healing meditation, because of course, as she said that and as I understood what it was, I started crying, right? And that was one way that I was also healing the pain and the frustration she was carrying of having to always be the one taking care of herself. And so that's where also the feeling lighter came from, because it was a release of energy from childhood trauma, from that experience. And so I understand that she has to get used to trusting me, trusting that I'm going to be there, that I am looking out for us, that I am taking care of us, and allowing her body to kind of come out of that space. So even though she's no longer in danger, just her experience of having been exposed to so much dysfunction and so much harm is going to take time to kind of leave her like just her past. I don't know how to put this actually. Just to leave her, for her to shift her state, because you know how they talk about in terms of something becoming like a new pattern or a new experience. You have to do it for 21 days or more before it becomes a habit. So it's like that. So I understand that she'll wake up one day and I'm here. She'll wake up the next day, I'm here. Then she can step out of that sadness and return back to her state of joy, because our true nature is joy. Our true nature is, our default setting is joy. All those other emotions, we experience them and we come back to joy. But because she hasn't been in joy for so long, she doesn't know how to constantly be there. So I'm not rushing her to come out of sadness. I'm not rushing her to be in a state of joy. But what I am doing is I am allowing our emotions as they come up for us to be present with them as the best that I can with that. Because I have noticed that I'm not always fully present. And that's something that I'm also going to talk to you guys about in my later video, my experience with that. So I'm kind of very respectful of allowing her to rest. I'm very respectful of you're feeling sad, you're feeling unsure, and you're not sure if you can trust that I'm always going to be there. And that's okay. And I'm not forcing her to kind of speed through that healing process. I'm allowing the time for her to get to the other side where we can feel joy on a natural, regular daily basis. And when I say that, as she's feeling it, I'm feeling it. So if I'm feeling neutral or like not happy, not sad, or even if I'm feeling sad, like I don't try to explain it, or I don't try to come out of it quickly where I used to do in the past. It's almost like the environment right now does not require for you to be quiet or to be sad or to feel whatever you're feeling. No, you have to match other people's or you have to hurry up and get happy. And so then is that false sense of happy, because then you're entertaining others or people pleasing. So, but in terms of that specifically, please go watch my video on Spotify about meeting yourself at the door. Okay, it's on Spotify under Fo's Journey Across the Bridge, and it's meeting yourself at the door. So that's where I talk about how I'm just there waiting for her at the door when she wake up. I'm there, and how being there does make a difference and how it does matter. Okay, so this is about reparenting your inner child, yourself. This is all still part of the healing work that we're doing, right? So I'm going to go back and read this paragraph from the beginning. It is important to remember one thing, however. Only you can reparent your inner child. No one can do it for you. Only you are responsible for knowing and meeting your inner child's needs. So if you have been looking for love in all the wrong places, which I'm going to go in depth with and share with you guys my experience on another video. So if you have been looking for love in all the wrong places, for someone to take care of your inner child for you, which I didn't understand I was doing. I just thought I was looking for love and to be taken care of, but not for someone to take care of my inner child. I thought I was looking for someone to take care of me, but then I understood that it was the inner child looking for someone to take care of her. Okay? It can also, okay, let's start again. So if you have been looking for love in all the wrong places, for someone to take care of your inner child for you, this book can help. It can also help you to stop rescuing others. It can also help you to stop rescuing other people's abandoned and abused inner children. This is where it goes into, I know that I had read a post from a relationship coach who said, you want a partner that matches you, not one that you have to raise. And I was going to write like a whole paragraph about that, because what I do understand is when we tend to do that, it is because we have the ability to help and heal others. So we have to understand, is that my job in terms of my profession, I'm investing a certain type of hours and I'm being paid back, or I'm just trying to contribute certain hours at a community center to help my community, but not to confuse it in terms of having that strength to help others and bringing it into your personal relationship, which is something I learned from Benjamin Zulu. He is, I think, a life coach based out of Kenya. So check him out also on YouTube. And so you want to make sure that you are not trying to rescue other people's abandoned and abused inner child. Even though you can hold love in your heart for them, or not even hold love in your heart for them, but you can send them love and healing. You want to make sure that you're not trying to rescue them, because it is the work that they have to do to reparent themselves. It is their responsibility to do their healing work, okay? Reparenting themselves is their responsibility. So there you go. So that's from page 19 to 24. I know in the first video I did read up to page 19 or past page 19, I'm not sure. But I might even also take a bit from page 24, because there's a different type of subject matter here. And I didn't want to continue with that right now. I thought I would just pause here. So this is where we are with that. I have given you guys lots of questions. I will probably include it in the description, the questions that I have listed. And then I'll come back in a previous video where I will give you guys my answer to those questions. So let me just read those questions one more time, and I'll read them in the order. So if you don't read the description or anything, at least the questions are here. So the first question, which I got out of the book, is who is the child living within? Next question here. Are you addicted to anything? When did the addiction start? Okay. Are you getting any help or support as an adult child from any type of dysfunctional family exposure? In what ways did you receive inadequate parenting? Okay, why is your inner child trapped inside? Why did your inner child go underground? And why did your inner child go underground? Next one is, as a child, did you experience abuse / trauma? And how is it affecting your life? Okay. Next question, were the basic needs of your inner child met? Okay. Now we go to the next question here. Have you acknowledged the damaged child within? Do you know what damages the inner child has and is experiencing? So these are all the questions. And I don't know if you've noticed, but some people have made a comment or to me that sometimes when I talk, I smack my mouth, tongue, or lips or whatever. And I have noticed that sometimes if like I'm in a certain space and it's very dry or whatever, it does create my throat to be a bit like tight or whatever. But at the same time, remember, as I said to you, this area in terms of my throat chakra is also an area that has a lot of healing that I'm doing in terms of expressing myself, right? And so even as I'm expressing myself and doing the healing work, I'm also healing that. So I'm healing that space here. So sometimes my voice could be a bit like, just my voice can sound a bit like different. So just acknowledge where you are in your life, what you're experiencing. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to this great healing work that we're doing. This is a book, as I mentioned, that I have purchased because I felt like it was time to do the work of healing my inner child. And I had purchased this years ago, as I told you, and I have decided to go through it slowly, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I had seen a little sticker on someone's car that said, drive slowly, you don't want to run over the turtle, type of thing. So we're going a bit slow, and that's okay. And so that works for me, and I hope that you are also benefiting from that. And so if you are looking to buy this book, I think, what does it say here? $17.99 US dollars, and Canadian is $21.99, and of course it includes tax. So Recovery of Your Inner Child. And it's so far it's so gentle. I remember previously reading some parts of it where it does get a little bit intense in terms of the emotion of the inner child that's being shared in this book. But like I said to you guys, I had come face to face with the rage that I was feeling. And so of course, when you have your inner child being so angry at you and having so much rage, it will come across as very intense. So be gentle with yourself. Look for ways to help yourself. If you're feeling something and if you're feeling something that feels off and you are at least curious about it, explore it, Google it, look for support. There are so much healers out there, and pray about it and let yourself be called towards someone that can assist you. And some people come into your life for a season and some people for a lifetime. So you'll have different seasons of different people assisting you, and you'll know what's for you and you'll know what's not for you. And I pray that if you find a book that's not for you, if you find a type of support or healer or doctor, or anyone that is not a therapist that's not for you, that you will be brave and courageous enough to let go of that and ask to be realigned to the right people and the right books that can help you. Okay, so do the work, do the work, do the work. Let's heal ourselves. Let's heal generational issues, and we deserve to have such an amazing experience on this human journey. So I pray that for you, and thank you for coming aboard. Again, this is Fauzia. I am Fauzia, and you are on Fau's Journey Across the Bridge. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know this video is a bit long, but remember, we're doing the healing work, right? So it is all worth it. What is an hour and so of your time to make your life better, to heal yourself, to take care of yourself, for self-care? It is all worth it, and I hope you invest in yourself. So again, please subscribe to my channel if you are benefiting and you find this material useful. Like and share it, because then you are helping and contributing to the community and the greater world at large. And click the notification bell, because you will be informed when I do share a video. And so my goal is just to really be inspired to come here and help me heal, right? And at the same time, help you heal. So let's heal together. Thank you again for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.